The race for governor heating up already, and we still have a ways to go. Here to talk about his race for governor, Aaron Ford, the Attorney General. Sir, it's good to see you once again.
Likewise, good to see you, John.
So before we get into the gubernatorial race, which is still in its early stages, obviously right now the state's still dealing with the cyber attack. We've heard from the governor, we've heard from other folks in state government trying to navigate this. I respect that there's not a whole lot you can say right now, but what can you say and maybe tell folks at home about the attack and the effort to try and get things back on track?
Well, as you indicated, I wouldn't be able to say much. I'm the lawyer for the state, and I have to be cognizant of the comments that I make in that regard. But what I can say is I'm very proud of my office in particular for figuring out the best ways that we can continue to try to serve the public and to do our jobs. We've had obviously disruptions all the way up to this point, but we are looking at the best ways to, again, get the job done. We've been talking to constituents, we've been talking to our clients, which are administrative agencies, and we've been working with whomever we can to figure out the best way forward on this issue.
As the top state law enforcement officer, how involved is the office in the law enforcement component? Without getting into specifics, working with the FBI and others, is the AG's office involved in that aspect of this?
What I can say is that we are intimately engaged in every component of what's happening right now, whether it's working with the governor, my clients, or working with other agencies to ascertain the best way forward in that regard. But again, I just want to reiterate that my office has done yeoman's work. The people in my office, my IT team, my general counsel, done the very best that they could to address the situation, and I'm very proud of them for that work.
Kind of morphing into a little bit of the gubernatorial race, but also some of the discussions at the last state legislative session. This is not the only cyber attack we've seen in Nevada recently. MGM Caesars was hit, I think it was last year, and that really had a big effect, of course, on the Strip. What maybe could be done at a state level to protect against these kind of cyber attacks?
Well, to his credit, Speaker Steve Yeager just announced, I think it was yesterday, a couple of days ago, and that he's going to be trying to institute some form of cyber security task force. I've had conversations with both Speaker Yeager and Nicole Cannizzaro. We need leadership in this area, and I'm proud of the work that both Yeager and Cannizzaro are contemplating to address this issue, and I'm going to leave it to them to do their work.
All right. Well, let's move on to the gubernatorial race. Obviously, you're in the AG's office. You're right across the hall, I believe it is, from the governor.
Right downstairs.
Right down. Okay, fair enough. If you're elected as the governor of Nevada, what is the first topic you'd like to tackle?
Well, let me say it this way. There are too many issues that are facing Nevadans today. We have dynamic problems that require dynamic solutions. I've been having conversations from Clark County to Pahrump, to Carson, to Reno, to Fallon, to Fernley, to Elko. And I continue to hear a common refrain, several themes that have to be addressed simultaneously. Most folks, frankly, just want a good job in an economy that's going to pay them well so that they can buy a home in a safe neighborhood that has good schools that are producing for their children to become college bound or career ready. And they want a healthcare system that's going to be there when they need things. And through all of that, John, they want to be treated with humanity, dignity, and respect. I'm going to bring that to the governor's mansion. It's absent right now. The leadership at the top level, Governor Lombardo, has failed miserably in all of these arenas, and I'm looking to help people address these concerns.
Let's explore that. How, in your mind, would you suggest that Governor Lombardo is failing Nevada?
Well, let's talk about some facts. Unemployment now is higher than it was when Governor Lombardo took office. In fact, over the course of the last year, we have been at least tied for number one, but generally speaking, the highest in terms of the unemployment rate that we've had in the nation. Our housing costs are skyrocketing. $600,000 for a starter home in Reno, $500,000 for a starter home here. He's touting and kowtowing to the policies of Donald Trump, to the neglect of Nevadans, saying things like we should be proud of a bill that is going to lead to people losing SNAP benefits and Medicaid coverage. And we're going to see rural hospitals closing. These are the types of things, these are the failures of the current governor that I'm going to address, because I'm not afraid to stand up to Donald Trump. Joe Lombardo is afraid to stand up to Donald Trump. He can't stand up, but I will.
Is it a matter of standing up to anyone or standing up for someone? What's the difference?
That's actually a great question. And two things can be true at the exact same time. I'm standing up for the people of Nevada, as I have been doing in my current capacity as Attorney General, whether it's ensuring that we are pushing back against federal overreach, that's standing up for Nevadans, but also standing up against Donald Trump. Whether it's ensuring that constitutional rights are protected, whether focusing on consumer protection and bringing in billions of dollars to address the opioid crisis, that's standing up for Nevadans, but standing up against those bad actors who are harming Nevadans.
In the last legislative session, we saw a lot of push and support for school choice, trying to address the sort of chronic problems of grades and student achievement in Nevada. If you're elected as governor, how much of what was passed, say, in the last legislative session, teacher raises, school choice, etc., would you want to keep in place?
Well, let's be clear. The Republicans have done a good job of co-opting the phrase school choice. I was talking about school choice before school choice was popular, because school choice is not just vouchers, which is what Republicans want. School choice includes charter schools. School choice includes open enrollment, which I have been touting for over a decade. School choice includes ensuring that we have career and technical academies and that we have magnet schools. These are the types of programs that I support in the public school context, because I believe that public dollars should be spent on public schools. And so to the extent we have policies in place that are effectuating that particular goal, I will be supporting those. But make no mistake about it, I will not support any public money going toward a private institution. That is not a form of school choice that I will advocate for or support.
Does that include teacher raises? Like charter schools, I guess, would be considered public schools. That's a fair point. So we'll move on then beyond education, I suppose. Although it's a constant issue. I'm wondering what maybe new policies would you like to present to Nevada to try and help state educators, Clark County, for example, sort of flip the script? Well,
I'm glad you asked the question. You may not know this, but I'm a former educator. I taught school. I taught middle school and I taught high school. I taught math. And I have 5 degrees, actually. 4 of them are in education, including my PhD in educational administration. So I've been in the classrooms, and I know what it takes for us to be successful. At a minimum, we need to have school funding, right? And the finances have continued to improve over the course of years, to be sure, but they are nowhere near where they need to be. We have to have teachers who are accountable, but also prepared to be able to do what they can to protect students and to educate students. We have to have students engaged and student accountability in that regard as well. We need parental involvement and parental engagement. These are things that I saw firsthand while in the classrooms, and things that I've touted for even in my days back in the state Senate, when I passed a bipartisan school choice bill that gave parents more of an opportunity to select what schools their children were going to go to and what accountability measures would be brought to bear if a school was not satisfying curricular needs.
School accountability, district accountability, that was a big topic before the last session. I know there's been some change at CCSD, to be specific, but what kind of state oversight do you think is needed for public schools, whether it's in K-12 or even higher education?
Yeah, look, oversight is necessary, accountability is important. But here's something we also have to remember. I'm a lawyer. I don't hear many people trying to tell me outside of the legal arena how lawyers should do their jobs. I used to be a teacher. I understood pedagogy. I was trying to educate, right? Everyone thinks they know what's best for educators, and they want to run over educators. I'm going to work with educators to ascertain what they need in order to be able to provide the types of education that our children need so that they can be successful in whatever choice they decide to take.
You talk about litigation. Obviously, you as Attorney General, you've been involved in several high-profile lawsuits on behalf of the state of Nevada, drug companies, off the top of my head, social media companies, the Trump administration, the Biden administration. Why is that the best, in your mind, the best way to try and achieve change? Why continue to push forward with this kind of litigation?
Well, I don't know if I would qualify it as best or worst. What I can say is this: I have a litmus test of sorts as to what I do when we're faced with questions. Number one is what's happening unlawful, and if it is it negatively harming Nevadans? And if so, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand up for Nevadans, and I'm going to stand up against those who are perpetrating bad acts toward Nevadans. So whether it's drug companies who have poisoned our street with opioids, and me obtaining $1.2 billion of opioid settlements to come in to address that issue, or whether it's Joe Biden, frankly, who was trying to get in the reproductive health care on the mifepristone circumstance, or whether it's Donald Trump, who in this last few months I've had to sue over 50 times for violating the law, statutes, the Constitution, and doing things that are negatively impacting Nevadans. I'm going to stand up, period, point blank.
Okay. Governor Lombardo has accused you of wanting sanctuary state policies in Nevada. Should Nevada be a sanctuary state? How do you respond to the governor's criticism?
Well, first, let me be clear. I have never supported sanctuary for criminals. Do not now and never will. But it's interesting to me, but no surprise, that Governor Lombardo wants to talk about this issue because he's afraid to talk about his own failures. The fact of the matter is we are, again, living in an economy that has the top-ranked unemployment in the nation for the last year, higher now than it was when he took office. We're in a circumstance where housing is unattainable for so many and across the board. We're looking at circumstances where our educational system continues to be in needs. He doesn't want to talk about his failures, and so he continues to bring up distractions like immigration. But let me be clear. Let me be clear about this. This designation of sanctuary state, whatever sanctuary state means, as much as he's kowtowed and kissed up to Donald Trump, this has occurred under Lombardo's watch. This is another one of his failures. Let me finish, because what's important to note here is that while he is kowtowing and kissing up and utilizing undefined phrases, here's what I've been doing. I've been focusing on ensuring that we are cracking down on human trafficking coming across the border. I've been cracking down on fentanyl coming across the border. I've been cracking down on child predators and doing all that I can to ensure that smart, targeted enforcement is the approach that keeps the public safe, and I'm going to continue doing that.
Just to follow up on a couple of quick things with regards to the governor and his term in office, you're referring to the unemployment rate and education. Nevada's unemployment has always kind of been in high, even beyond Governor Lombardo's term in office. Same with education. It's been a constant problem. It seems like you're placing the blame at his doorstep when it's kind of been at Nevada's doorstep for a long time.
Well, let's be clear. He ran on unemployment, right? And what has he done in the time that he's been here? Nothing to improve it. And in fact, the numbers continue to go up, right? And what I've been able to do in the time that I've been in office is demonstrate an ability to help bring better paying jobs that folks will want to buy. Now, what's interesting is that Mr. Lombardo, going back to my comments about humanity, dignity, and respect, has none for those who are unemployed. He's already said it's because they're lazy and they don't want to do work. When the fact of the matter is, for the first time in years, a federal report has come out that we have more people unemployed than jobs that are available, right? And so Mr. Lombardo needs to do his own job. You asked me about immigration a minute ago. That's not even his job. Do his own job and then focus on what the needs of Nevadans are, and that's how we move this state forward.
A couple of final topics. Again, in the last legislative session, there was a lot of talk about this idea of film tax credits. Here in Southern Nevada, it kind of dissolved. It might come back in a special session in October, who knows? But broadly, if you're elected as governor, do you think tax credits like that, like Allegiant Stadium, the A's baseball stadium, are those beneficial, and would you support them down the line? I realize that's a crystal ball in case you see them in hand, but just broadly, are tax credits beneficial to Nevada?
Well, I'll say this. The question for me is, are we going to be able to create good paying jobs that allow people to do what I've heard they want to do, which is to have good paying jobs, to buy a home, to take care of their families, right? And that's the reason why I have supported the film tax credit, for example. I was the one who actually introduced it back in 2013 because we knew that we could help diversify our economy. When Allegiant Stadium came, I dare someone to sit in front of an individual like I did and heard him say to me, I'm living in my car right now. If Allegiant Stadium is here, I will immediately be able to get to work in a construction job that can provide for me and my family and bring me the dignity and respect that I once had when I was employed. That's what I look out for. And to be sure, it has to be beneficial for the entire state, which is the reason why in the Allegiant Stadium context, I oversaw and I ensured that we had a community benefits plan that would effectuate benefits to the entirety of the community, in addition to the jobs that were going to be happening at the construction phase, at the design phase, and in the operations phase.
You have a competitor in the Democratic primary for governor, of course, Alexis Hill from up in Washoe County. Her ad accuses you of taking gifts from Elon Musk, referring to the Gigafactory from Tesla up in northern Nevada. Your response to that?
Well, I'm not sure what she means. And obviously, again, I reject the premise that we cannot interact with individuals who want to bring employment and job opportunities for our neighbors. Here's what I will say. She and I have overlapping constituencies, and several thousand of her constituents are employed because of a bill that I supported. And I support those individuals who are able to, again, have the dignity and humanity about themselves to be able to provide for themselves through these opportunities. And I think we have to be careful, obviously, in the way that we interact with these types of opportunities, but ensuring that we are presenting opportunities for people to be employed is of paramount import, especially when we are at the highest level of unemployment over the course of this last year.
Attorney General Aaron Ford running for governor. Good to see you once again, and look forward to a very interesting campaign. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks, John.